Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Kim. I'm really glad you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about Wi-Fi and why I think you should turn it off while you're driving. Not driving period, but if you're doing delivery. So if you're using Grubhub, Uber Eats, Doordash app, etc., I think it interferes. And I'm going to tell you why. Anyways, before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe. Really appreciate it. This is based on my own opinion and my own testing that I did and my own research. So if you disagree with me, I encourage you to put your comments below. I'd love to hear your point of view. But hopefully after you watch this video, it'll make some sense to you, and hopefully this will help. That's my dog crying in the background. Sorry. She wants my attention. Okay. So you do not need Wi-Fi while driving. Now, wireless Apple CarPlay won't work without Wi-Fi turned on. So that is an issue. CarPlay uses Bluetooth to set up the connection between the phone and the car, but then it switches over to Wi-Fi to function. So, I have two cars. My main car is a newer, nicer car. And if I turn off the Wi-Fi, it just keeps giving me errors to turn the Wi-Fi back on, saying that I can't use CarPlay without the Wi-Fi. My car has wireless Wi-Fi, wireless CarPlay, I'm sorry. So I don't have to plug anything in, just by being in the car, the phone connects and CarPlay works, you know, with navigation, music, etc. If you use a wire to connect your phone to Apple CarPlay, then you'll be just fine. You can turn off your Wi-Fi. But if you have wireless CarPlay, you have to have your Wi-Fi turned on. The car that I use for dashing does not have CarPlay at all. It doesn't have anything. It's an older Volvo, but it's a nice car, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. So I turn off the Wi-Fi when I dash in that car. My nicer car, I don't dash in that car very much. I don't want to ruin it. So anyways, that's why I got the older car, so that I can use it for dashing. Anyways, so basically what I mean to say is if you have wireless CarPlay, you cannot turn off the Wi-Fi. If you have CarPlay in your car, but it's not wireless and you actually use a wire to connect, you can turn off the Wi-Fi. If you don't have Apple CarPlay at all, you can turn off the Wi-Fi. Okay, so lately I've been having a lot of issues with the app. And prior to... Sorry, that's my dog. Prior to this experiment. So, anyways, lost orders, the app not connecting, the app just seeming to not be connected. Like sometimes I would go a long time without any orders when it's a really busy time and you know that there's some orders out there. Not even getting the Walmart orders, but the Vaughn's delivery orders, which you constantly get those around here. And also I was getting like weird errors, like the offer would just disappear, things like that. Anyways, so for those of you without Apple CarPlay, turn off your Wi-Fi. It keeps your phone from trying to connect to random hotspots. Every time it finds a hotspot, it tries to negotiate a connection with that Wi-Fi network and try to get an IP address, etc. So while it's doing that, I think the cellular connection, I think there's a gap between that time when you're using your cellular connection and the Wi-Fi connection is trying to connect. So I think during the time when it's connecting, you can lose out on orders. I think that if an order hits during that second when things are trying to negotiate, I don't think you get that order. Connectivity aside, I think the phones are faster on cellular in most cases. Mine definitely is. Even in my house, we have really good internet in our house, but the cellular sometimes is just faster and more solid connection. So Wi-Fi versus cellular data. If you're in a building, you may have issues with Wi-Fi or you may have cellular issues. It depends. If you don't have good coverage in a building, one or the other, then use the opposite one. But driving around town, cellular is almost always better. Cellular data is more secure than random public Wi-Fi hotspots anyways. Cellular data stays connected, where Wi-Fi connects only when near a hotspot. Then it disconnects, and then you can hop back over to cellular, and then you find another hotspot. It tries to reconnect again. There are seconds in there when the connection drops. It's just not a consistent connection. So how does Wi-Fi work? Well, Wi-Fi connects computers, phones, and other wireless devices to the internet and to each other using a radio frequency. You do need to be in close proximity to a wireless router, tower, hotspot antenna in order to have Wi-Fi access. The radio waves emanate from the router, tower, hotspot antenna, and it emanates out to a certain range. How far can the signal go? Well, that depends on a bunch of things. Reflection, refraction, power output, physical barriers, interference, and more. I'm not going to go into it, but basically it has an actual range. And once you're out of that range, you've lost connection. How does cellular data work? Well, cellular data comes from the same towers that allow you to make cell phone calls. Wi-Fi has a limited range, but cellular data is available as long as you are within your specific carrier's coverage. Cellular data does not use Wi-Fi at all. It does use radio frequencies, but their connections are independent of each other. Cellular data is transmitted to or from a central hub called a cell. One cell covers a certain geographical area, and they overlap each other to effectively transmit your data and have a wider reach. As long as your carrier has cell towers or cell sites that completely cover an area and are all operational, your cellular data will stay connected. That was a lot of words. This hopefully will explain it a little bit better. So why is cellular better than when you're driving? As long as you're in an area with solid cellular coverage, you should not lose your connection as you drive around. The cell towers, cell sites, or whatever, antennas, whatever you want to call them, that are scattered around offer coverage to overlap each other, and your connection is transferred automatically by your carrier to the next cell site as you travel to the out of range of one and into the other. Your phone does not need to try to negotiate the connection, look for a new IP address, or anything. It's all automatic, so your cell data connection is consistent as you travel around. Why should you turn off Wi-Fi and just use cell data when running gig economy apps? Well, in my opinion, it just ensures that you actually receive every offer that is intended to get to you. Your phone will have a consistent internet signal and increases the odds of more offers. I did not receive any ghost orders when I had my Wi-Fi off. I tested this and it really makes a difference. Here are the tests that I ran. This was all in, this last weekend. So, test number 1. I sat in the mall parking lot with my Wi-Fi on for about 5 minutes. This was peak lunchtime on a Saturday. I received one offer. It was not a good one. I turned off the Wi-Fi and was immediately bombarded with 5 to 6 offers in a row. They were low offers that I didn't want, but at least I was getting the offers. So that led me to believe something. Either it was a coincidence and all of a sudden there was a bunch of offers where there wasn't any before. Or by turning off the Wi-Fi, I had a better connection and I was able to get those offers. Test number 2. I sat in a food court area parking lot, still during peak lunchtime. So this was a different area. I tested with Wi-Fi on for 5 minutes and then off for 5 minutes. Again, way more offers came in when I had the Wi-Fi off. 2 came in with Wi-Fi on and 4 with it off. I did accept offer number 4 and ended the test. So with the Wi-Fi on, I did get a couple offers. But then I don't even think I had the Wi-Fi off for the full 5 minutes before I got that good offer and ended the test. But it was double the amount of offers. So then, test number 3. I drove around between 2 malls. They're probably about a mile apart, and there's a lot of restaurants in that area. There's a lot in the big mall and a lot in the smaller mall, and there's even a couple restaurants that are in another little strip mall that's in that same area. So when I had the Wi-Fi on, I got 0 offers. Drove around. I made 2 laps. I'm not sure how long that took, but more than 5 minutes. I turned off the Wi-Fi and got 3 almost immediately. I ended up taking that 3rd offer. So this is a very small data set, but it amazed me at the difference. Try it for yourself. I mean, okay, this could all just be a coincidence. This was a very small test based on 1 day and 1 lunchtime, but I was really amazed at how many more I got just by turning off the Wi-Fi. So then Sunday, the next day, I delivered all day without the Wi-Fi on. I did not have a break at all. I had offer after offer after offer. It was very consistent. I was dual apping between Doordash and Grubhub. Just to clarify, someone commented on this when I mentioned it before. If I get a Grubhub offer, I turn off DoorDash. I pause it, and vice versa. I'm not delivering. I don't try to get, every once in a while, sometimes I'll forget to turn it off and I will end up with another offer. If it's going in the same direction, from the same direction, I'll take it. But otherwise, I don't do that. I don't go in opposite directions with food or anything like that. And I try to remember to pause them, and I just concentrate on one at a time. I just think that's better for the customers. Now tonight, actually, I accidentally did one. It was interesting. It worked out great. The restaurants were a minute apart from each other, and the people's houses were maybe 2 miles from each other. So that worked out great. And one was on Grubhub and one was on DoorDash. And both people got their food very quickly, and it worked out great. So sometimes it works, but I don't, that's not my plan. I don't try to do that. I try to just use one app at a time. But I do run them simultaneously so that I have some options of offers. Anyways, so this is my opinion based on my own tests on that 1 day. And delivering since, I have had the Wi-Fi off all the time, and I just find it much more consistent, and I don't have any of the errors that I got previously. Like the one error I would get a lot, I would hear the text that there was an offer, and it'll say, hey, go to Chipotle, but then that Chipotle offer would never come to my app. Those sorts of things. I would get those, several times a day, and I have not gotten that error at all. That has not happened since I've turned the Wi-Fi off. So anyways, your experience may differ. I think you should try it both ways and see if you notice an improvement. Who knows? With the Wi-Fi off, I have noticed way fewer app issues. Please comment below with any questions or comments. And after you try this experiment, please come back and let me know your results. I'm really curious to see if you have a similar conclusion. I would think that, it makes so much sense to me now, that when your phone is trying to connect to Wi-Fi, then you're losing that cell coverage, and it's just, the cellular coverage is just, I think it's more consistent, and I think that it's made for the cell phones. The Wi-Fi, if you're staying still in one spot, that's one thing. But if you're driving around, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. So anyways, I tried it, and I think it definitely works better with the Wi-Fi off. So anyways, I hope you try it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.